And now, live from Laurel, Maryland, USA, the home of the Laurel Racetrack, where they push animals to their limits, it's snack time!
Kneel for wherever you are. Ladies and gentlemen, people out there from Australia to New Jersey and everywhere in between, have you seen Titanic? Last night at 12 o'clock midnight, Blockbuster finally released a special limited edition of Titanic. There's no last T. Titanic. And I don't know if you're anything like me, you didn't give a shit. That's why today I'm going to talk about the little holes in the Titanic, big enough to make that movie sink. Snackboy, you're a stitch! Stop it! Titanic. Well, the first thing that bothered me was the performance of the Oscar-nominated old lady. She was so politically correct, so vibrant and healthy and mature and artistic, and had lived such a wonderful, well-rounded life that you just wanted to gag in the theater. I remember they were trying to treat her like an old woman on the film, and of course, her character was just written to be so strong. You were just like, oh, Rose. So by the time they flashed back to Kate Winslet, you're in love. So I was annoyed by that. The guy's sitting her down, and they're like, do you think you can try to tell us about that night when the lady ship sank? And she's like, do you want or do you not want to hear about Titanic, Mr. Trainer? And I was so annoyed right then. I was like, oh, this movie's going to suck. And then the camera zooms right into her eyes, zooms right in closer and closer, and she's like, I remember the Titanic, and that was a night that changed my life forever. As a young girl, I stepped onto the Titanic, Mr. Trainer, but I left a woman. And, it's just tacky dialogue, and I was like, and then here's another thing. Yes, Kate Winslet, who's a beautiful girl, I loved her in Heavenly Creatures. Yes, she's a high society girl. But that scene that's supposed to entertain you as the young, artistic street ruffian meets the young socialite and teaches her how to spit was nauseating as well. You're supposed to feel here that her spitting is cathartic. Oh, she's letting go. She's going to open her repressed heart up to this young guy, Mr. Trainer, maybe even die for him when she's spitting. And for one thing, neither of them were even spitting. He's like, Rose, with his horrible acting, Leonardo DiCaprio couldn't act his way out of a paper bag. He's like, Rose, come on, have you ever spat? And she's like, no! And of course she was totally overacting her shock. Rose, have you ever let loose and ripped one out? I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Trainer. Rose, come on. Spit. He's like, and she's like, I couldn't do such a thing. I'm a young lady. And he's like, come on, Rose. I know you can. I know you can, Rose, in his Keanu Reeves acting schoolish way. She's like, Mr. Trainer, I'll have you know. I'm calling everyone Mr. Trainer because for some reason that's the name I remember. Mr. Trainer, I do not spit. He's like, come on, Rose. And she's like, all right, I'll try. And the whole audience, the whole theater of 12-year-old girls were like, oh my God, I love Leonardo DiCaprio. And why is it I can't go to the supermarket now with the many shades of Leonardo all over the magazine rack? And then Celine Dion, Miss Anorexia herself, hair falling out by the bundle, standing on the deck of the Titanic in that video. Kneel for wherever you are. Those tacky, and the worst is if you turn on the radio at a certain time of day, they always take the Titanic song with Celine Dion singing, and then they incorporate really bad dialogue from the movie. Kneel for, I love you, Rose, wherever you are. Jack, I will not spit. I believe in my heart will go on. Never let go, Rose. Never let go. Once more. I'm not letting go, Jack. You open. I'm not letting go. The door. You people can't let them sing. Don't you give a fuck. The door, I believe, Jack, I'll never let go, never let go, Jack. That diamond has to be worth $5. Anyway, also now I want to finish on this. I know the time of our 5 minutes is at hand. The worst scene in the movie was the scene that made everyone cry, and that was the death scene. There they are, freezing in the ocean, floating and freezing and floating. And he looks up, and he's just got icicles hanging off of every orifice. And he's like, promise me, Rose. With no accent whatsoever, in the turn of the century, you know. He's like an immigrant. Promise me, Rose. Promise me. You'll never let go. You never let go. Promise me. And she's like, Jack, I'll never let go. I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let go. And then all of a sudden someone blows their whistle to say rescue boat, and she's like, can't quicker drown his ass. She's like prying his dead hands off her, and she's like, help! And she's like blowing the whistle. I mean, so this is the scene. I look to my left, I look to my right, and everyone in the theater's like, the sacrifice, the sheer sacrifice.